I'm going to get right into the topic and discussion. I'm going to try to rock out all night, but I'm going to get right into it. Useless college degrees to avoid. The Kevininsales Redpill Comedy Hour. And I call it the Comedy Hour because most college degrees are a joke. Most college degrees are good for nothing but toilet tissue. I'm going to go over a multiplicity of different degrees. I'm going to go over stories about myself and people that I know from years ago. I'm going to really dibble and dab into the uselessness of college and college degrees. Now, a lot of people are going to say, please don't talk about my degree. Please don't talk about my degree. But I'm going to dibble and dabble with everybody today. Now, again, the only degrees that I think people should ever major in are degrees that are going towards career fields that are high paying, like being a specialized medical doctor. You know, if you specialize in some sort of, like you're a cardiologist, or the whole idea of, or maybe to become a surgeon. But even just being a simple medical doctor, generalized medical doctor, might not even be enough anymore. Degrees like engineering, if you go for civil engineering, that's not enough anymore. You need to go for like industrial engineering. You need to go for the specialties that will pay the most. But right now, I'm about to dibble and dabble in useless degrees and which degrees to avoid. If you are a kid, if you are 15, 16, 17 years old, and you're still in high school, I implore you to really look at society now. Society is totally different from what it was when I was a kid. We didn't have social media. We didn't have multiple ways to make money the way that you guys have it now. You guys can play video games and make money just live streaming the video games. You guys can go on YouTube and make money live streaming. We didn't have that back in the day. There is no point. There is no point in going to college to get into massive debt to get a worthless ass degree. These college degrees are not going to get you financially free. They're not going to get you wealthy. And most times, you're going to have a regular ass basic job that you could have already had if you didn't go to school. I'm going to dibble and dabble in all of that. Now, this may offend people. This may shock people. Kevininsales, please don't talk about me today. I'm going to unsubscribe. Well, unsubscribe then. Because this is not the show for you. Because I'm going to be absolutely insulting. I'm going to talk about not only you, but I'm going to talk about myself. Because I don't want a 15, 16, or 17-year-old to make the same goddamn mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes that a young person could ever make is going to some liberal arts college and majoring in some liberal arts bullshit degree. My top bullshit degree, and I'm going to write it down because I'm going to go back over, I'm going to revisit this list. Number one, numero fucking uno. General studies. If you get a degree, or if you are in college pursuing a general studies degree in the year 2021, you are a fool. You are a fool because I am going to tell you not to do it and give you examples as to why not to do it. So if you listen to me and yet continue to want to major in that, you are a fool. A general studies degree is the same as Charmin tissue. It's just good for wiping your ass. Ask somebody with a general studies degree, hey man, what do you do, general studies, Mr. General Studies degree? You're not going to get hired anywhere specific. You're not going to get hired at a Fortune 500 company. You're not going to get a high level position that the one that you want. A general studies degree is going to lead you down a path to work at McDonald's. It's going to lead you down the path to work at a Amazon fulfillment center. I'm not trying to knock those jobs. I'm not trying to knock those jobs at all. But ask yourself, what do you want to do with a general studies degree? What the fuck does that even mean? General studies. People I know with general studies degrees do not work in a high paying position. They do not make a lot of money. Ask somebody, hey, what do you do with your general studies degree? Ask them. Ask them, hey, how much money do you make? Ask them. You live in a generation now where you have access to so many media platforms that you could type in, what can I do with a general studies degree? Who can I speak to who has a general studies degree, a bachelor's? And you will see that they don't have a high paying position, that they don't work at a Fortune 500. A lot of the times they don't even work at a for-profit business. A general studies degree is absolutely fucking worthless. Don't let anybody trick you into getting a general studies degree. There is no specialty. There is no specialized training with that horse shit degree. You're gonna end up working at Burger King. You're gonna end up working at the corner store with that degree. Don't waste your 4 years or 5 years of your life majoring in general studies. If you do, after listening to this, you are a fool. And if an administrator, a professor is encouraging you to major in general studies, shame on them. They're tricking you. That is the ultimate game of tricknology. You want to major in general studies, huh? Yeah. Oh, well, maybe you should take this class, take art, take dancing, they're going to give you a multiplicity of broad stroke classes to take, classes that will fulfill the requirements for this horseshit degree. And you being the Oopa Loopa that you are, they gave me art, they gave me ancient Roman history, they gave me all these classes and it fulfilled my degree, and it's easy. It's easy because it funnels money into the institution. Those administrators, those professors should encourage you to go into the STEMs. I'm too dumb to go into the STEMs. Well, you shouldn't be in school then. Get a trade, start a business. There is no point of you going to school anymore. College means absolutely nothing to employers now. It means absolutely nothing. There are people right now who never went to school. They are the managers. They are social workers now. They are in the positions that were once positions of the college graduate. Now the college graduate, he or she gets out of school at 24, 23, 22. No real world experience because for 4 years, he or she was in college. And now their managers or bosses are people who didn't even go to college in the first place. They're tricking you. And you don't think a general studies degree is going to catapult you to work at a Ernst Young, Google, one of the Fortune 500s that require high level or in demand degrees. It's not going to happen. You can kick that shit somewhere else because it's not going to happen. You get a general studies degree from Milwaukee State Bumfuck University. You are going to work on an assembly line somewhere in Iowa. It's just it's the honest to God's truth. And a lot of people aren't going to tell you straight up. I'm going to tell you straight up. You're not going to work at one of the Fortune 500s. You're just not. With that type of a degree. You're just not. My number one degree to avoid is the general studies degree. That degree is the equivalent of this piece of paper towel and to just blow your nose with it. So if you get a general studies degree, take that degree, crumble it up enough where it gets soft, and just blow your nose with it. Because that is the value of that degree. Kevininsales, please stop. I majored in general studies. Well, you made a mistake, motherfucker. You made a mistake. That is a horrifying degree to major in. It's horrifying. Because you're not going to get a job. Other than a job you could have just got out of college. And again, the professors, the administrators on campus, they're not going to tell you this because it is a game of money with the college campuses now. And then with lower enrollment now, they really won't tell you now. They really won't tell you. Number two, I'm writing this down. And if anybody's coming into the chat, this is the useless degrees to avoid, a Kevininsales comedy hour. And it's a comedy hour because you have to look at it like a joke. Number two, African studies. Kevininsales, aren't you African? Yes. But that doesn't mean that you have to get a degree in it. African studies is one of the worst college degrees that you could ever major in. And if you do a solo major, you are fucked. What can you do with an African studies degree? What companies are going to hire you with an African studies degree? I have an African studies degree from Iowa State University. They're going to take that degree, and when you're walking out the office, they're going to crumble it up and throw it in the fucking garbage bin. HR. African studies is the worst, if not the worst degree. General studies is the worst. But I strongly believe that the worst degree is African studies. What is the purpose and the point of African studies? You take these horseshit classes about ancient Africa, ancient Egypt, ancient Ghana, ancient whatever country, and you learn absolutely nothing. What is the purpose of learning about ancient Kush? What is the purpose of learning about the Sphinx? It means nothing in practical application. What does learning about the pyramids at Giza have to do with any Fortune 500 company? Kevininsales, please stop. I got an African studies degree. I don't care. It's a worthless degree. Intellectual masturbation degree. That's all it is. I majored in African studies. It's a horse shit degree. Now, at the time, I was really into the Black conscious community, but I allowed professors to swindle me into majoring or double majoring in African studies. It's bullshit. This planet, this global planet is based on one thing and one thing only: commerce. Knowing about what Akhenaten did 4,000 years ago means nothing. Learning about what Ramses did 5,000 years ago in Egypt means nothing. What does that knowledge have to do with how currency flows, how markets are run? It means nothing. And for the professors all across country that are teaching this nonsense, shame on you. Shame on you for lying to these kids and lying to these kids that will come up. These kids are young and impressionable. They believe everything that you say because they were literally just children 4 and 5 years prior. So their brains are still not developed. But me being in my 30s, I would never in a million years recommend learning or getting an African studies degree. There is no point to it. The only point to an African studies degree is to wipe your ass. You ever wiped your ass and you still have to wipe some more, and you have to wipe some more because you didn't get it all? That's what an African studies degree is for. That is what an African studies degree is for. You know how I know? I have one. The Fortune 500 companies. Better yet, let's do the Fortune 100 companies. Okay? I want to show you a list of some of the Fortune 100 companies, and you tell me what an African studies degree is going to do. This is a comprehensive list of the Fortune 100s. What will a Fortune, I'm sorry about that, guys. What does, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. What will a African studies degree do for you at Walmart, Amazon, ExxonMobil, Apple, CVS, Berkshire Hathaway, United Healthcare Group, McKesson, AT&T? What will that degree do? Nothing. Again, guys. Again. If you are a kid and you happen to be listening to this, you might be asking yourself, who is this ugly motherfucker with them headphones on? Don't worry about that. Ask yourself, what is he talking about? That is the answer. He might have a point. Your CEOs of these companies, of these Fortune 500 companies, do not have horseshit degrees. Most of the employees do not have horseshit degrees. You're gonna have to have something in the IT back. You're gonna have to have a business background or an IT background for a lot of these Fortune 500s. You think Google gives a shit if you have an African studies degree? No. They want to know if you understand Google Cloud platforms. They want to know if you can become a Google Cloud architect, a technical background. That's how this world works. African studies is one of the worst college degrees that you can possibly get. Do not go to college and major in that shit. Do not go to college and minor in that shit. Do not go to college and even go to events that are in the African studies program. Don't do it. You're wasting your time. My rule of thumb, and I wish I had this rule of thumb when I was in college, do what the Asians are doing. The Asians were always studying. They were always studious. They were always in the math building or the science building. That's it. You think some Asians were taking some Asian studies courses? No, that's horse shit. People need to know who they are. No, they don't. You don't need to know about Akhenaten, Ramses, Cleopatra. You don't need to know about Mansa Musa in Africa. That's horseshit. Those people died thousands of years ago. Those are our ancestors. Man, they don't give a fuck about you. And even if they were alive now, they wouldn't care about you. If you were alive back then, they wouldn't care about you. Those are the royal classes. They would have never gave a fuck about you. Don't major in that shit. I don't care. I listen, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. A lot of college campuses, when you walk on there, you hear the beating of the drums from the African Studies Department. And that Negro mind of yours goes into that primitive state. It's almost like, like in the cartoons where the cat was drugged and he's just smelling the food or whatever. You go into that state. And that Negro mind can't help not but to hear the beating of the drums. But don't let them trick you. That's how they trick those kids. I know. I was in African studies. A lot of those professors, they were in their dashikis. They're talking about how black people should unite, how black people should be this, that, and the other. They're burning their stinking ass incense. Like, oh yeah, you should come major in African studies. But I look at that as the equivalent of the drug dealer offering hard drugs. Hey man, try this crack real quick, man. That's how they are. Don't let those dashiki wearing, afro wearing, incense burning, bullshit fucking African professors bullshit you. Don't take your ass to those fucking buildings. That African studies nonsense. If you see a professor at your college campus and he's wearing a dashiki, you need to walk the other way. He's tricking you. And what the fuck are you going to do with the African studies degree other than wipe your ass? You think Walmart needs people with African studies degrees? No. They need people who understand supply chain management. They need people who understand business. They need people who understand IT and cloud computing. Walmart functions off of cloud computing. Google functions off of cloud computing. Apple functions off of cloud computing. They need people who are in the IT field. I'm going to work at Amazon. Yeah, with the African Studies degree, you'll work at the fulfillment center. Yeah. Bagging shit up with your college fucking degree. It's a horseshit degree. Don't get that fucking degree. Listen, I know you're young. I know your brain is still developing. I know it's hard. I know it's so hard. I know you want to embrace your roots. I know I used to be like that. But don't let those tricking ass dashiki wearing afro incense burning back to mother African crazy ass professors fool you into believing that nonsense. Could you imagine how crazy it would be if white professors dressed up in fucking togas and were teaching ancient Greece and wanted you to live like how they were living in ancient Greece? That's absurd. Don't do it. Don't do it. African studies is one of the worst college degrees that you can get. Avoid it. And again, if you see one of these dashiki wearing professors, you walk the other way because they are not in the business of trying to enrich you. They are not in the business of trying to make you wealthy and creating generational wealth. They are in the business of tricking you into believing some make-believe past about Africans that did not exist. Also, that you can spend your college tuition on these courses so that they can still get paid because that's all they majored in and got a PhD in because they can't find a real fucking job. Oh, Kevininsales, I'm gonna beat your ass when I see you, man. I got a degree in African studies. So do I, nigga. So do I. And it's a waste of a fucking degree. And it's a waste of time. And if people are going to get mad at me for saying this, I don't give a fuck because I know what I'm talking about. That shit doesn't get you into the next level. We live in a capitalistic global society. People need to understand capitalism, not 7,000 years ago in ancient Africa and how they planted fruits. Who gives a fuck? Learning about your ancestors is not going to make you rich. Some of the poorest people I know have fucking bachelor's degrees in African fucking studies. That's horse shit. Number 3. I'm writing this down. I wanted to freestyle this one. I'm more passionate when I freestyle. Number 3. Now, I know some of you are going to get mad at me. Some of you, when you see me, you're going to want to fight me. I'm going to drop you when I see you. Yeah, I know because I struck a nerve. But I'm being honest, and that is what the red pill is about. Number 3, sociology. If that is not one of the most loserous amongst loser degrees I had ever seen in my life, sociology is absolutely worthless. Do you know what the equivalent of sociology is? I want you to do this when you get your sociology degree. I want you to get your degree that day, put it in if you're a dude, right? I want you to stick out your penis, go to a stall, put your degree in that stall and piss on it because that is the worth of your sociology degree. Please stop. Please, Kevininsales, stop. I'm majoring in sociology now. Please stop. I'm a junior now. Well, you wasted 3 years. You wasted already 3 years. That sociology degree is worthless. The only types of jobs you're going to get with that are being a social worker. Being a social worker at one time, yeah, it was a cool job. But we are in the 21st century now. Social workers do not make that much money now. And it's the truth. A sociology degree, what? Social worker, some sort of teacher at a charter school. That's it. You're going to be making $35,000, $40,000 a year for the rest of your life. And if you're a dude, you're fucked. A man making that kind of money is fucked. And you got your little degree, your little sociology degree. Kevininsales, please stop. I have a sociology degree. Yeah, and I bet you don't work for any of the Fortune 500 companies with that horseshit degree. You can't work at Google with a sociology degree. You can't be a cloud architect at Google with a sociology degree. It's a horse shit degree. I cannot fathom why that degree is still, that major is still being taught. I cannot fathom it. For what? What is the point of a sociology major? You have so many universities, like liberal universities, that they stress sociology. You know, you should get a sociology degree. That's what they stress to the freshmen, because that is the oldest trick in selling you this college nonsense. Because you're so brainwashed. Oh, yeah, I heard about sociology in high school. I might want to major in that. If I was on that college campus, I would tell you, you better not get that fucking degree. It's a horse shit degree at the master's and PhD level. It's horse shit. You're wasting years of your life. Start your own business. We are in the 21st century. You have multiple ways to make money. And especially if you're young, like 17, 18, man, it is so different for you guys now than it ever was for us. And I'm not knocking it because I'm not jealous of it. I'm actually happy for you guys because we didn't have the opportunity to make money streaming and doing silly shit like this, that, and the other. Do not get that fucking degree. Do not go to any college campus and get that degree. Unless you're going to get a master's in sociology from fucking Harvard or one of the other Ivy League schools, do not major in sociology. I stress you. Listen, I have friends to this day who have a sociology major, and a lot of them are working at Walmart. I have two of them. That I know for a fact are working at Walmart. I haven't talked to one of them in years, but I know for a fact she's still working at Walmart with her sociology degree. She's a cashier. Gonna get mad at me, but I don't care. It's the truth. Do not get a sociology degree. It's a horse shit degree. If you are a parent listening to me and your kid says, "Mom, Dad, I want to go to school and major in sociology," you need to tell them, listen, either you start your own business or try to make money offline, or go to college to get a real fucking degree, because that is not a real degree. Do not major in that horse shit. Do not major in that, especially if you are a man. That degree is going to be absolutely useless within the next couple of years, just 2 or 3 more years, because a lot of the jobs that require it now are going by the wayside now. And a man cannot live off that kind of salary in this future we're going into. If you have a family, you just can't do it. Those jobs pay shit. Those jobs pay like absolute shit for that particular degree. And the fact that universities, college universities with educated people, they sit there and they allow these kids to major in that horse shit. They sit there and see these kids for 4 and 5 years on campus getting a degree in something that they are not going to make a lot of money in, and that they're going to be in debt in. I have a lot of friends who've majored in sociology and they're $50,000 to $100,000 in debt with a horseshit sociology degree. That is one of the worst fucking degrees that you can possibly get. Do not get that degree. Do studies on it. Research it. Is Kevininsales right? Do your own research. Go to a Fortune 500, a for-profit institution, Walmart, Google, Apple, Amazon, and do data. Do they hire at the executive levels? Any management levels? I'm not talking about a fulfillment center. I'm talking about actually working for corporate. Do they hire people with sociology degrees? Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Those degrees are horse shit. And again, if you decide on majoring in sociology, I want you to take your sociology degree the day of your graduation. If you're a dude, I want you to stick out your penis, put it in a fucking stall, and piss on that degree, because that is the value of a sociology degree. Kevininsales, please stop. You're being too raw tonight. Have you been drinking? No, actually, I haven't been drinking. I'm sober. But I want to be offensive as possible tonight to get this message through people. Thank you, man, aka behind the bar. I want to get this message across. Number 4, psychology. If there wasn't a worthless digging in your nose, booger and snot degree, psychology is one of them. That is a horse shit degree. That is a bullshit degree. Do not major in psychology. It does the same thing that the sociology degree does, the African studies degree does, etc. It just leads you to a life of mediocrity. Do not major in that. Mike from Boston said, I can attest to that. Mike from Boston has a master's in psychology, and he's even agreeing with me. It's a bullshit degree. We are in the 21st century. We are in we are almost about to complete the first quarter of the 21st century. A lot of these jobs that once required these degrees will not even exist in 3 or 4 years. We are going into a very technological future where you're going to have to understand the language of computers, the language of cloud technology. That's what you're going to have to understand. These Fortune 500 companies, most of them are technology companies. Look it up yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. You are not going to get these creme de la creme jobs with psychology. You're wasting your time. Right now, especially if you're a kid, like 16, 17, 18, start learning anything dealing with IT, especially cloud architecture programs. That's it. Or if you're not really into computers, start majoring or studying something that will lead you to a medical degree. Anything else is bullshit. Even like engineering, the best engineering specialty to get into is industrial engineering. Do not go to school for civil engineering. You're going to have a basic ass job making $34,000 a year as a city engineer. Don Philly said, Kev, upsetting people is like always. Yes, tonight I'm going to be offensive tonight because I'm trying to save the lives of these young kids. See, we're too old. If you're just getting into the chat room, I've already went over the first 4 shit degrees. Number 1, general studies. Number 2, African studies. Number 3, sociology. And number 4, psychology. All worthless bullshit degrees. Thanks, Mike Weary. Thank you for the donation. Mike from Boston says, unless you become a psychiatrist, he said, unless you plan to go to med school and become a psychiatrist, forget it. Yeah. Do not major in these fields because more than likely you're not going to ever work in a position because more than likely they're going to want you to have a PhD, which takes about 15 years to get. But don't major in these degrees unless you're going the academic route. Listen, if you want to be an African studies professor making about $100,000 a year, yeah, okay, we'll get a PhD. Spend 15 years in college. By the time you're 40, you could be a tenured professor, not tenured, but you could be a full professor. And then one day you'll get tenure at 60. Okay, so what? Zig says, I graduated with a bullshit college degree, then took a 1.5 year unpaid apprenticeship for system administrator, and now I do DevOps engineering, making bank doing that. He said, everything you're saying is 100% true. Yeah, because we are in the future, and people do not realize that. I'm not over here trying to dog those positions, because at one point, maybe having a psychology degree 50 years ago was good. Maybe having a sociology degree 60 years ago was cool. But it's not cool now, and don't major in that shit. Don't let these people trick your kids into majoring in that horse shit. I used to be a teacher. I'm pretty sure a lot of us went to college. We know that those degrees are horse shit. Psychology is another horse shit degree. Especially if you're black. Do not major in that shit. Do not let your black kids major in that, especially if you're black. If you are black right now, listen, if you have kids, tell them, hey, look, you're going to go to school for 2 things, either something in business or something in the STEMs. That's it. And not just some regular business shit either. You're going to go to school to you're going to get an MBA. And not from Phoenix University, not from Idaho University. They need to go to a good school to get an MBA, so that they can have a top position in a Fortune 500. Or go into the STEMs, and particularly very specialized STEMs. Dad, I want to be an engineer. Well, what type of engineer? I want to be a civil engineer. So you basically want to be a city worker. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to have a lot of money. And you need to be making a lot of money. And a civil engineer, you're not going to make a lot of money. You need to probably go for industrial engineering, meaning that you're going to have to brush up on your math, brush up on your science. That's it. Dad, I want to major in psychology. You might have to smack them, but not like beat them, but smack them into making some. They might need to be smacked into some sense. Psychology is a horse shit degree. Do not have your kids major in that shit. They're not gonna make a lot of money in that shit. There are kids right now who have degrees in system ops, any type of IT field, for damn sure, cloud architecture. They're making 150, 200,000 a year. Listen, if you're a kid, I'm telling you, learn from my mistakes. At least learn from my mistakes. Majoring in the liberal arts are bullshit. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a bullshit career. If those careers even exist. Don't do it. Number 5, history. History is another horse shit degree. If you are a parent, give me a second. If you are a parent and you have a kid and they tell you, Mom, Dad, I want to major in history, you should ask them, son or daughter, this world is based off of finance and capitalism and shit like that. Do you think Google wants to hire you if you have a history degree? You think Amazon will hire you corporate? I'm talking about Amazon corporate, not the fulfillment center. You think Amazon corporate is going to hire you with a history degree? I'm like, where do you think you're going to work at with a history degree? I can tell you as an individual who has multiple horseshit college degrees, the only places that will hire your son or daughter are a bullshit charter school. That's it. That's the reality of life. Or some bullshit nonprofit that's paying $12 an hour. That's where a lot of people who have these liberal arts bullshit ass wiping degrees go to. They go to these nonprofit institutions to work because those are the only, and I hate to say it, they're bottom feeding. A lot of these nonprofits and charter schools are bottom feeders. That's it. I know I'm making people mad. Listen, I know it's hard. Like, Kevininsales, you're making me cry. Listen, if I'm making you cry, I don't care. It's the truth, and you know it. How many people do you think Google will hire with a fucking history, a bachelor's in history? What do they need you for? What does Amazon corporate need you for? What does Walmart need you for? I'm talking about corporate, not Walmart, the store, because that's where you're going to work at if you have a fucking psychology degree or history degree is in the store. I'm talking about corporate. You're going to be working right along with the people who went to high school with you, who aren't in debt, by the way, and who have real world experience because they didn't waste 4 fucking years trying to get a fucking bullshit degree. And you're looking down on them. Y'all got the same job, but you looking down on them like, I got a college degree though. But that person's like, yeah, nigga, but you're in debt. I know I'm making people mad, but I don't give a fuck. History is another horseshit degree. What the fuck do you need to learn about Genghis Khan for in the 21st century? What is knowing about Genghis Khan? Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me calm down. They're teaching you about Genghis Khan. What does Genghis Khan have to do with the 21st century? What does learning about the Mediterranean and the Medo-Persians and all these ancient societies have to do with what is going on now? History is another horseshit degree. If you are planning on going to college, man, listen, I'm telling you, ask people who have a history degree. Hey, Mr. History degree, what do you do with your degree? I can pretty much tell you that they're not well off and they're not rich. They're not well off. They're just not. It's a bullshit degree. They're tricking you. Ginger says, I love history. Yeah, I love history too, but I don't love it enough to encourage a 17-year-old boy or girl to get a fucking degree in it because it's bullshit. Again, guys, if you're just coming into the chat, the rule of thumb that people need to follow, black people, white people especially, do what the Asians are doing. Look at the degrees that they are majoring in when they go to college campuses. They are in the STEMs or they're in some sort of specialized business program. That's it. Because their people get it. The Chinese and the Japanese especially, they get it. Look at what the Nigerians are doing. Your average Nigerian is not a medical doctor, but a lot of them are business owners. They understand how this world and this country work. Them Nigerians aren't coming over here majoring in African studies. They're not coming over here majoring in psychology, all these horseshit degrees, because their parents, especially the men in the household, they tell them, don't come to this house majoring in no goddamn psychology. That's a horse shit degree. But Dad, I like psychology. Well, like it, but don't major in it. Because the best that you're going to do with that degree is be a assistant manager at McDonald's, right along with the person who didn't go to college, but who does not have insurmountable debt like you do. You're hurting my feelings, man. Shut up. Don't major in that. Do you and again, you don't even have to take my word for it. You can do your own research. What is the percentage of people who make over a certain amount with a history degree? What is the percentage of people that are hired by Fortune 500s with a history degree? You could do your own damn research. What type of degrees do I need to work at Amazon? What type of, just look it up yourself. What type of degrees do C-suite executives C-suite executives have? They don't have a bachelor in history as a sole degree, a bachelor in history from Alaska State University. They don't have that shit. Kevininsales, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, they didn't even graduate from school. Yeah, but they went to Harvard, and they went to Harvard for a specialized degree. I can't remember what Mark Zuckerberg. Matter of fact, I'll look it up right now. What did Mark Zuckerberg go to school for? Give me a second. What did he go to school for Harvard? And this is what a lot of people don't understand too. Mark Zuckerberg went to Exeter, one of the best, if not the best, private school in the goddamn country. He won prizes for mathematics, astronomy, physics, and classical studies. In college, what did he major in college? Let's see. He studied computer science. And that's what people don't understand. Yeah, he may not have graduated from college, but the fact of the matter is that his tenure there set him up. Don't major in these liberal art bullshit degrees. That's all I'm telling you. It's not competitive. Everybody has these degrees. Number 6, criminal justice. Criminal justice is a very, very bullshit degree. A lot of people, I have a criminal justice degree, major in criminal justice because criminal justice is almost like a default degree. Horse shit, but yet default. Criminal justice can get you in the doors to a lot of government jobs. Same with sociology and psychology as well. But it's a bullshit degree in the fact that it's not a degree that's going to lead you to a high paying position. It's not a degree that's going to lead you into anything of note. It's just not. Let me tell you something, Rick. Ginger, I know he didn't complete his. I know he didn't complete his studies there. That was the whole point of me saying that. My first job out of college, I was a probation officer. I was interviewing with the court administrator. The court administrator is the one who hires you because you work under judges when you are a probation officer. The court, now mind you, this is like 12 years ago. The court administrator, the job was paying $35,000 a year. At the time, I was like, oh, that's a lot of money. The court administrator said, oh man, this is a lot of money. I didn't make this much. Now, the court administrator has a law degree. Well, typically the court administrator will have a law degree. The court administrator said, you're making $35,000. That's a lot of money. I didn't even make that out of law school. Tricking me. That's what people do in those positions. They trick you. They have you thinking that $35,000 is a lot of money. Mind you, this is the year 2009. Having you believe $35,000 is a lot of money. That is how they maintain systems here. They're tricking you. They have you believing, or they're having you believe that they're doing you a favor by giving you $35 punk ass $1,000 that even a single man couldn't live on. That's with a criminal justice degree. They're tricking you. There are people who make 5 times that much. Now, Martin Morehouse says, Labuto, we need African studies. Yeah, you need African studies. You need it to wipe your ass with. Yeah, that's why. That's when you need it. It's a horse shit degree. It means nothing. It's not even applicable in the real world. It's not applicable. Learning about ancient Africa, learning about spiritualism in ancient Africa has nothing to do with the real world that we live in now, Martin Morehouse. It means nothing. And going back to what I said about criminal justice, it's a bullshit degree. You don't need it to become a police officer. You don't need it to become a firefighter. You don't need it to become a detective. It's nice to have it, but a lot of police officers in your city don't have college degrees. A lot of them, a lot of your good police officers actually are ones who are hired right out of the academy. You don't need it. You don't need it to become a private eye. You don't need it to do almost anything in security. You don't need it. It's a bullshit degree. And if you have kids who say, Dad, I want to major in criminal justice, you tell them, I'm not paying for it. That's a bullshit degree. That degree is about as equal as a roll of tissue. Like when you get to take a shit and you got that shit that just keeps coming. You got to keep rolling up that tissue. I want you to do that when you get your criminal justice degree. Roll up roll up, symbolically roll up that degree, that piece of paper they're going to give you. Roll it up. Sometimes some niggas do like the big loops with the tissue. And then, just wipe your ass with it. Because that is the value of a criminal justice degree. There's no point. There's no point in getting that degree. And I got a degree in criminal justice. And I'm telling you, it's a bullshit degree. It's a horse shit degree. It means nothing in the real world. Let me show you guys something real quick. I want to show you how much Amazon is worth, by the way. Let me show you something real quick. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to use common sense with this real quick. All right. Now, Amazon, the company, of course. Now, if you can see the screen, Amazon's net income for 2020 was $21 billion. Let's see how much Amazon is actually worth, though. Let me see. Amazon is worth $1.7 trillion. Okay. Amazon is worth $1.7 trillion. See it? Okay. Now, I want you to check this out for a minute. What the fuck do you think, if you had a criminal justice degree, what do you think Amazon would hire you for? I want you to really sit back and think. If you had a criminal justice degree, what would Amazon hire you for? What would you know? They have, you know, it's a company. Their market cap is 1.7 trillion. They made how much did they make in revenue last year? $386 million, billion dollars. Do you think Amazon is gonna pay you with a criminal justice degree to work corporate to make six figures? For what? Why would they? Why would they? Why would they do it? Avoid the criminal justice degree. It is a bullshit degree. And if you plan on majoring in criminal justice, you're in a world for hurt. Now, Behind the Bar says, isn't criminal justice degree, basically he's asking, do you get a criminal justice degree to become a lawyer? Sir, you can get any degree to become a lawyer. You can have a general studies degree and you can get admitted into law school. Law school is nothing but you having a good undergraduate career and just applying to go to law school. That's it. You have to pass like a certain, I can't remember the LSAT. You know, after you graduate with a bachelor's degree, you have to pass the LSAT to get into law school. But you can get any degree to go to law school. Probation officers don't make that much money. I already said that. It's a lot of times you don't even need a criminal justice degree to even become a probation officer. And probation officers don't make a lot of money. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's no point in getting those degrees. Mike from Boston says no law school is different from the criminal justice. Yeah. So you don't need a criminal justice degree to become a lawyer. No, you don't. And again, I would not advise anyone, and I mean anyone, to ever get a criminal justice degree. For what? There's no point. Behind the Bar says, I thought you had to pass the bar to become a lawyer. You do have to pass the bar to become a lawyer, but to get into law school, you have to pass the LSAT. Yeah, there's a little bit of confusion on your part, but you have to pass the LSAT to get into law school. You have to pass the bar to actually become a full-fledged lawyer that has credentials through the state, which in you reside. But nevertheless, you don't need a criminal justice degree to go to law school. No, you don't. Wipe your ass with your criminal justice degree. It's a bullshit degree. It's not going to make you a lot of money, just like African studies, just like sociology, just like psychology, just like history. It's just not. And I know you're getting mad at me. I know a lot of people left the room because they're upset because I talked about their little degree. But what I'm saying is true. I bet you nobody in here works for Google as a cloud architect with your social science degree. Let's keep it fucking real. You didn't use your psychology degree to make six figures with Amazon. Let's keep it real. Those degrees that you got are horseshit. And you can get mad at me all you want. When I find you, I'm gonna show you what it's about. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. But what I say is still right. Marian Morehouse says, I work for Google as a cloud tech. Well, Martin, you know what I'm talking about then. I'm here to offend people tonight. I'm here to upset people. I'm here to even have people question what they're doing. Because that's the whole purpose of the red pill. Don't get yourself involved with these social science nonsense degrees. It's a road of destruction. Number 7. Now, general studies is number 1. African studies is number 2. Sociology is number 3. Psychology is number 4. History is number 5. Criminal justice is number 6. Now, some of you might be asking, why is this one not high on the list? Well, communications, though, you know, it should be number 1 sometimes. Communications is my number 7. Communications is a degree that is very broad. It does open up fields. It does open up a lot of opportunities to get into more specific fields, but it's still a horseshit degree. um I still feel like you're gonna waste a lot of time with communications. I feel like a lot of weak students went into communications that I knew, and I mean weak ass kids who really, they didn't really take college that serious in terms of wanting to really study. So they picked a degree that was really, I don't really know too much about communications. I do know that the people that I knew who had it, they didn't really take college that serious at all. Those were the ones who you never really saw them studying at all. It's almost like communications is almost like a degree. You just take courses in and you just pass or whatever. I'm not too familiar with it. But again, another horseshit degree. Mike from Boston says there's literally one group of people I would suggest criminal justice for. That's current law enforcement officers. A criminal justice degree will bump their pay. Yeah, it will bump your pay, but not that much. Communications is another worthless degree. It's another degree to blow your snot at. Again, what's the point of it? I mean, really, what is the point of communications, especially if we're living in a digital world? It's really no point. Well, why don't you use communications for the digital world? I mean, it's communicating, right? Well, why not just get a goddamn degree in something that deals with computers, something that deals with IT then? Something that already has integrated the whole idea of communications. Mario Morehouse said, I was a culinary major and Google still hired me. I don't believe that. I believe that you probably have a certificate in Google Cloud that you studied for. Again, you couldn't have got hired at Google with just a culinary degree. You could have, and you would end up just being a janitor at one of the Google facilities. Let's see here. Another worthless degree. This is my number 8. English. English is another worthless degree. If you have an English degree, fuck you. If you're offended, I don't care. But I will say this. It is up to the parent to properly teach their child English, grammar, etc. You should teach your child proper grammar, proper English while they're growing up. You should, get them to write papers, get them to fix grammatical errors give them assignments to do. But to give them the leeway to pick a degree in English is absolutely absurd. Again, this is another worthless degree. This is another degree that will lead you to work as a janitor at some school or some restaurant, etc. It is, and not knocking anyone who is a janitor. It's just that if you're gonna be a janitor, just be one straight out of high school. Don't be the know-it-all janitor, the smart janitor that nobody likes because you have a degree and you think you're smarter than people. That's the correlation that I'm trying to make. Give me a second, guys. Don't do it. Do not do it. English is another worthless degree. You can learn English on your own. Google, Amazon, these companies don't care if you have an English background. They want to know if you can do a job, and their jobs primarily deal with anything in IT. These Fortune 500 companies do not care if you have an English degree. As long as you can fill out an application and do your job, you're fine. You know what I mean? Foreigners that these companies hire at corporate who can barely speak English, who can barely write, proper grammar, I'm assuming. They don't give a fuck if you have an English degree. Because if that were the case, they would require that everybody have an English degree. Don't do it. Do not do it. If you are 17 years old and you want to go to college, do not major in English. Because when you graduate with that degree, you may as well put a hole through it. And I'm not going to say the rest. Don't major in that degree. It's a bullshit degree. It is absolutely worthless. Number 9, political science. You will run across a lot of kids with political science degrees, and these are the most pompous acting kids I have ever seen in my life. Every college that I've went, we used to go on a lot of road trips in college. Every road trip, these kids walked around with so much air of pompous and arrogance. I wanted to sissy slap them. These are some of the most pompous kids imaginable. These are the kids who think that they are intellectuals. These are the kids who think that they know the intricacies of the current paradigm within any culture. These are the kids that, these are a lot of the kids who get those political jobs, like the political campaign jobs, and they think that they're intelligent. These are the kids that you can't tell anything to. Political science majors are arrogant assholes. I knew them in college. Do not get a degree in political science unless you're going to law school. Political science is an excellent bachelor's degree to get into law school. Other than that, don't do it. Do not do it. You're going to find yourself working at an Arab corner store with a political science degree. Don't do it unless you're going to law school. You're not going to get into a Fortune 500 with a fucking political science degree. You're just not going to do it. At best, with the political science degree, you could probably work for some nonprofit and making about $45 a year. That's it. It's not a high demand major. It's not. If you guys take showers properly, you have a face rag and you have an ass rag. Everybody knows what this is: a face rag and an ass rag. You have to look at a political science degree in this metaphor: a face rag and an ass rag. And the ass rag is the political science major. You have to look at that major as the ass rag. The face rag, you wiping your body, you wipe your face with it. So I have 3 rags, actually. I have a body rag and a face rag and an ass rag. You have to listen to me. You have to look at that political science degree as the ass rag. When you get enough, I use the liquid soap, but you get enough liquid soap on it and then you just wipe your ass with it. That is what you need to do when you get your political science degree. Listen, guys, because a lot of kids will listen to this and they'll be like, he's just an ugly dude talking. Yeah, that's fine. You can look at it like that. But what I can guarantee you, if you major in political science and if you're not going to law school with that degree, you're not going to get a high-paying job. You're going to get some bumfuck job at a nonprofit making shit money, flat out. And that's if you get a job. And that's if the job even exists after you graduate. If you get a political science degree, I want you to remember what I said. I want you to take your degree and use it as the ass rag in the shower. When you get done wiping your body, I want you to take it, put some soap on it, and put it in between the crack of your ass. That's your political science degree. That's what it's worth. It's not worth anything. Again, it's worth something if you go to law school with it. But other than that, just use it as an ass rag. Put it up on your, a lot of times dudes in the shower, we just put it right on top of the bar, Just use it as an ass rag. Because that's what it is. It's an ass rag. It's an ass rag. I'm going to drop the link real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm going to drop the link for people to cam up. So we can talk about bullshit degrees, I dropped the link. Let's talk about, excuse me. Number 10. What is another bullshit degree? Another horseshit degree. Now remember, guys, I'm doing all this by I'm just freestyling this. I would say another horse shit degree, and these are people that I really want to throw in the Grand Canyon. Philosophy majors. I knew a kid in college. He was a philosophy major. If this is not one of the more horseshit degrees, I don't know what is. Philosophy. You ever ran into a philosophy major at college? This hippie nonsense bullshitter. They're walking around. Oh yeah, how are you doing, my scholar? They talk fucking stupid. Their mannerisms are stupid. It's almost like they think they're in ancient Greece and like they're some sort of fucking philosopher with a toga on. How are you doing, scholar? I knew a kid like that in college. The nigga was a major bullshitter. He was a major bullshitter. And I bet you to this day, he's not using that philosophy degree for anything. What the fuck is philosophy? What is philosophy? Well, I'm gonna look it up. Let's look it up right now. It says philosophy is the study of general and fundamental questions, such as those about reason, existence, knowledge, values, mind, and language. Let me ask you a question. If you go into Google, you go in there with this philosophy bullshit mindset, you think that you're going to stay at Google? No. They're going to get you up out of there. Give me a second, guys. I got to change something real quick. I'm back. They're going to get you up out of there. They don't need you there. These companies, these billion and trillion dollar companies, they don't need you with no fucking philosophy major or degree. It's a bullshit degree. You're 18 years old, you go on a college campus. One of the things that happens is a lot of these counselors, they trick you. Yeah, maybe you should major in philosophy. You got to be aware of those people, parents who are out there listening. Be aware. Be aware of these people who are lying to your children, telling your children to major in philosophy. That's a horse shit degree. Look it up for yourself. How many people with philosophy degrees are making over six figures? How many people with philosophy degrees have their own? Listen, what can you really do with a philosophy degree? What can you do? You know when you got to sneeze and you have all this mucus in your nose, winter day. And then you do that you do this. I want you to do that to your philosophy degree. Next time you gotta sneeze or spit out a loogie, do it on your philosophy degree, because that is about as much value. Your philosophy piece of paper has that much value. Blow a loogie on it. It's worthless. It's a worthless degree. Do not major in that shit. Do not major in it. You want to major in careers that are in high demand. You don't want to major or you don't want to get a major in something that is a listen. Let me show you something real quick. Let me show you something real quick. This is 2021's 100 best jobs. Number 1, physician assistant. Number 2, software developer. Number 3, nurse practitioner. So now we have 2 jobs already that are in the medical field. We have 1 in the computer field. Here goes another one, medical and health services manager. This one says you only need a bachelor's, but a bachelor's in what though? A physician, a statistician, that's science. Data scientist, dentist. It's telling you right here what jobs are in demand or what jobs will be in demand. You don't want to major in art history, which is number 11. You don't want to major in bullshit degrees like art history. You don't want to major in, let me see. What else is what else is out there, guys? That it's another bullshit degree. Give me a second. Give me 1 second, guys. Still here. You don't want to major in music. Why would you major in music? If you can play the piano, if you can play any type of instrument, especially in this day and age, all you got to do is go on YouTube and get a following. If you could play, if you've been playing a guitar, if you've been playing the violin since you've been a kid, what the fuck do you need to major in music for? An orchestra will hire you if you're good. It's based on talent. It's not based on a goddamn degree. Let's say you want to work for an orchestra. I want to work for an orchestra. There's no need to get a music degree. Just study whatever given instrument that you've been playing on, or just practice enough to be super talented. Don't let people trick you. Don't let them do that to you. It's a road to hell. A lot of people with music degrees, what are they doing with them? The same thing with a theater. What are you majoring in? You think Will Smith has a theater degree? You think Halle Berry has a theater degree? No, they don't. There is no purpose to get these degrees. Guys, if you're still listening, I know I know I'm being offensive. I know I'm not taking people's feelings into consideration. I know it's rough listening to this. I know that you've been told all your life that, going to college and getting a degree was the end all be all. But it's not. It's going to college and getting the right degrees. It's going to college and majoring in the right majors. That's what you have to realize. I'm going to drop the link. Oh, the link is already dropped. Give me a second, guys. Give me 1 second. I know you guys don't want to hear this, man. And it's painful. It is. I again, I understand it, man. I understand. You guys have eaten the fruit. You guys have. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. I got to do a text real quick. Give me 1 second. All right, cool. Yeah, I understand it. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Guys, give me 1 second. I just want to do something real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm almost here.
Hey, thank you, Jameer, for staying on this little bitch ass nigga's neck.
Why do you go live every time I go live?
I don't know you from a hole in the wall, bitch.
Why do you go live every time I go live?
Why are you fronting me?
Why do you go live every time I go live? Huh?
I was live for 4 hours, dude. I don't stalk your page so I could go live before you.
Oh,
I don't care
it does say 4 hours.
I don't care about you, RE. I don't care about you. You a dumb bird, bitch. Like,
look, bitch, look, little bitch, nigga. If you don't care if
I don't want to. I'll call back
in. My motherfucking channel, bitch.
Call back in.
Yeah.
I don't sub to your channel. I don't even.
Sorry about that, guys. I was wondering why she was live, but it does say 4 hours on there. Yeah. So don't major in horseshit degrees. I'm gonna keep the link. I'm gonna drop the link one more time. I'm trying to find a 15th one. What will be number 15 as a horseshit degree? Let's see, number 15. I would say archaeology. It's another bullshit one too. Archaeology is another horseshit degree. What is the purpose of archaeology as well? What is the purpose of a lot of these degrees? And again, you want to get the degrees that is going to get you the best paying jobs. Period. Point blank. Give me a second. Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta look up something real quick. Yeah. So that's that. I'm gonna keep the link up. I'm here. Anybody want to join the link? Ricardo says she looked so happy when she saw you. Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I'm still here, guys. So I'm gonna keep the link up until somebody cams up. I don't I'm trying to get people to cam up and go in on the topic. Oh, it's Mike from Boston. What's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You sound really clear too. What's going on?
Another degree, astronomy. Anyone who wants to get a fucking degree in astronomy, just tell them to fuck off, and that'll be the end of the conversation. Just say fuck you.
Now, yeah.
I took astronomy. I took
go ahead. Go ahead.
And it was the stupidest thing I've ever. I took 2 different courses: astronomy 1, like intro to astronomy or whatever, and like astronomy 2, like, and they both were about nothing. Like nothing you could ever use in any field. No matter what field you were in, you would never use that knowledge. Like I can't think of one instance when you would want to know anything about astronomy, unless you're a fucking astronaut, I guess. And even then, you probably just don't even want to know. I mean, it was bullshit. But they had people paying $50,000 a year that were majoring in astronomy. 50 grand a year at my school. I went to a college was expensive shit. And I'll tell you something else. Not only should people, they should get rid of. You know how every college usually um, has a program like in my school it was like the Columbian School of Arts and Sciences or whatever. It's like general. It's like what do they call it? Is that what they call it? Arts and Sciences.
Yeah,
That
College
whole
of Arts
thing
and
should be
Sciences.
eliminated.
Yeah,
There should be
it
no
should be.
school of. There should be no school of arts and sciences because those are where you're going to find the sociologies, the criminal justice, the psychology, and then one of the worst, philosophy.
Philosophy.
I
Yeah,
can't even believe that they offer that.
that's number 10 on my list. Philosophy is one of the
That
worst college degrees.
that would be number one on my list, I think.
Yeah. It's a horseshit degree, man. And the tragedy of it all is that you have grown men and women who are in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they're guiding these kids into utter hell because they know that those degrees are horseshit. They know that those degrees are not going to lead these kids to even working in the field of study that they're even studying in. They know that those degrees, a lot of those degrees, the careers that they're looking for won't even exist. But they're doing it because it funnels money into the school. So if a kid is in there and, the kid may not be a strong student academic wise, if he says, I'm not good at math, you're not going to say, well, you can't, there's no point in you going to school. They're going to just say, oh, maybe you should major in sociology. And I think that's a bad thing to do.
Terrible.
Yeah, I think it's a horrific thing to do, actually. Yeah.
It's a sucker game. You sucker people into paying for 4 years of an education that they will not use in their lifetime ever.
Right. Yeah, it's horrific. And it's downright dirty and it's nasty what they do at the college level. And again, they need to stop it. They need to stop it. Again, there's no reason why a kid should go to school and major in psychology or sociology in this day and age. We don't even live in that time, that type of an era right now. We literally live in a digital world. We live in an era now where you're going to have to be scientifically literate and technologically literate. The idea of going to school and majoring in literally like communications and psychology and African, and God forbid, African studies. There is no point to that shit. African studies is one of the worst fucking degrees. And look, if a kid happens to find this video, I mean like a kid who's 16, 17, and you don't go and you're not going to like an Ivy League or a strong school, what happens is that at liberal arts schools, a lot of those African studies professors, they trick you into majoring or even taking classes in those departments because they need the money. Mike, each college is different. Each college has its own budget. I'm talking about, a university is made up of, people don't know this, but a university is made up of colleges. So the College of Arts and Sciences has, African studies, philosophy department, all these departments, and they get money through kids taking those courses. And so if the kids aren't taking those courses, a lot of those classes are canceled. Thus the professors, which a lot of the times they're not full professors. So if, they're not getting a base salary. A lot of those professors are adjuncts. So if they're not taking classes, those adjuncts don't get paid. And then if the adjuncts don't get paid, the department loses money. So thus, they may not need certain full-time professors, unless you're like a emeritus or something, you're not safe or something. I think that's how it works at a college, or I think it's a full-time professor. But nevertheless, the thing is that if you are not a kid who really thinks you can get brainwashed by these dashiki wearing, incense burning African professors, man, African studies professors. And I'm telling you, if African studies was a legit place for study, why don't African kids take those courses? Why don't I mean really sit back and think, why don't African kids take those courses? You went to school in DC. You went to a liberal arts school, right, Mike?
Yeah, like I went to a good school, and I'm speaking from experience. I majored in psychology, and you know what that got me when I got out of college before I went to grad school? With
Yeah.
a psychology major, the best job I could get, and this was after trying for a little while, was a legal assistant position that paid $30,000 a year.
In DC, right?
No. This was back in Boston because I'd moved back by that
Boston.
point.
Okay.
But I went in, like I was going into interviews. I had my resume said I had just graduated from George Washington University. Back then it was a top 50 school. I don't know if it still is, but they didn't give a fuck about that. They didn't care at all. And I was like, God damn it, like I thought they'd be impressed or some shit. They didn't care. And I
They don't
realized,
care.
damn, I just wasted 4 years of my life on some bullshit.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't
Unless it
care.
says Harvard or Yale or
Yeah.
Stanford, it's worthless.
Yeah, it is. I try to tell people, a lot of times it is based on your school. Of course, if you get an African Studies master's or PhD from Harvard, it puts you up there with it puts you at a higher stratosphere in terms of the academic tier. So, if you have that Harvard on your resume, getting a teaching assignment at Yale or some other prestigious university or even a private school, like high school, private school, is going to happen for you. But if you get an African Studies degree at Montana State University, you can pretty much guarantee that you will be the janitor there next year. That's it. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, how did you get tricked into taking up African Studies?
How did I get tricked?
Or like, what made you decide to do that? Like, what visions did you have of your future when you were there? Like,
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. What attracted me about African Studies was the camaraderie with the students, the camaraderie with the professors, with the students. It felt like you were at home while you were in the building, the school that I went to. The art on the wall, the beating of the drums. It all plays into the Negro psychology, and especially young blacks when you're younger. But now that I'm older and looking back at it, it was really child abuse. It was really them playing on your emotions. It's a worthless degree, and I wouldn't wish that degree upon anybody. I think that the degree, like a lot of liberal arts degrees, should be absolutely eliminated. I didn't think anything of. Well, you know what? When I was taking African Studies, I wasn't even thinking about a future. I was just thinking, man, this is a cool degree. I'm learning about ancient Africa. I like this stuff, and it was more of an immediate gratification. So I didn't think about the future. Yeah, I didn't think about the future at all.
That's what I was thinking. I was just going to say, you probably weren't thinking about what you were going to do after college. You were thinking about, yeah, this is going to be cool now, and this will be fun. Or
right.
This will be more fun than majoring in something else. You weren't thinking, damn, I'm actually going to have to make a living at some point.
Right.
And it's not going to do anything for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a worthless degree, man, especially right now. Mike, the Western world, and not even just the Western world, the Eastern world, both these worlds are looking towards the stars now more than ever. And particularly now with Elon Musk and SpaceX, right? So you have SpaceX that now they're making routine flights back and forth to space. Whereas, NASA, when they just had the shuttles, space flight was not as routine as it is now. So now, because of this routine, routine back and forth, the space programs are being sped up now. With that being said, they're going to start colonizing the moon eventually. They're going to start astro mining eventually. And then eventually there's going to be a terraformation plan for Mars. That is where the future is heading. Psychology, sociology, African studies, philosophy, are not going to be a part of that future. They're just not. Those majors, I mean, like people with those majors are not going to be a part of that future because there's no need for it. What that future needs are engineers, people who understand math, people who understand technology. Those are the people who are going to be at the forefront of that future, because you can already see it now. They're at the forefront of this future. I mean, the current paradigm that we're living in now. And so that's why, like, I get so offended when I hear people say that, oh yeah, you know, I'm mentoring these kids and I'm trying to get them to go to school to major in psychology or African studies. I said, dude, that is absolutely absurd. You might as well get them to major in medieval European studies. Like, what the fuck is the purpose of it?
Yeah, I just was gonna say, you know, at a certain point they're gonna have to start phasing out those programs, because it's people are gonna catch on the way we did, that these degrees are absolutely worth shit. Like, they're
Yeah,
absolutely worthless,
yeah,
and there's gonna be no money to pay professors anymore. So the whole field is gonna go like I said, if you're unless you want to be a psychiatrist, or I mean, really, in my opinion, a psychiatrist is the only thing a psychology degree would warrant, because a psychiatrist make a shitload of fucking money. They can charge $300 an hour,
right.
easy. So but again, you have to remember, if you're going to be a psychiatrist, you have to go to medical school for 5 fucking years, including your intern period. So that means 4 years undergrad, and then you go to 5 years medical school, and you're not even going to be a medical doctor. You're just getting the degree so you can be a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists are they need to know psychology, not necessarily medicine, but they have to go to medical school anyways. It's kind of like weird the way it works, but it's a lot to have to do. It's a lot of work you have to put in. But otherwise, I mean, what are you really going to do with a psychology degree other than that that's going to make you money?
Nothing. And the tragedy of it all is that, you know, people get like, it was some girl in the chat got offended at my commentary earlier, and I wanted her to get offended, because my thing is that if you are offended, that means you know that there's truth to what I'm saying. You know, there's truth to it. It's a horseshit degree, and if it was not for some little nonprofit, you would not have a job. And that's the only reason why a lot of psychiatry or psychology majors have jobs, is because of some nonprofits that exist. If these nonprofits, and a lot of them are going to go by the wayside eventually, when they go by the wayside, you are not going to have a job. It's not going to happen. It's not feasible right now. So the same thing
Yeah.
with all these. Give me a second. Hey, I'm live streaming. I'm live streaming, man. All right. Yeah. So you're just not going to have a job. Go ahead, bro. I'm listening.
No, I just was agreeing with you. You're 100% right. I look
It's just.
back, and anyone out there who went to school for something like I did, or like Kevin did, think back to the people you went to school with and find out where they are now and what they're doing. Because unless they change, like, I changed my whole direction. Like, I fucking moved away from psychology because I realized there was no money in it. But look
Right.
at some of those people that stuck with it and see how much money they're making now.
Hey, man, I know a lot of people with these degrees, man, and a lot of them are struggling. A lot of them can't find steady employment to this day. And again, you know, our generation, when we were in college, we never would have anticipated the social media era. I mean, I never even thought of something like this, even in 2003 when when I was in high school or graduated from high school. We didn't have social media. So the idea that making money online was not as prevalent as it is now. And again, I implore, or I'll just say this: any kid out there, if you're just listening to this, do not go to school for those degrees I named, and do not go to school for anything other than a STEM or something in the business field, and a specialized business field. You know, because you're not gonna get, these jobs won't even exist 5-10 years from now. These nonprofits that are out here are not gonna exist 5 or 10 years from now. They're just not. They're not, because again, we're moving towards a different direction. You know, we're moving into the space age now. You know, and These inferior degrees are not needed anymore. These inferior majors are not needed anymore. Like Mike, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was in school, some of the most pompous and arrogant kids were the philosophy majors. They used to walk around like they were so goddamn smart. Yeah, they were, and so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the worst kids ever. But these are the same kids that now you look at them, they don't have any prestigious jobs. They don't have any, anything prestigious going on because again, that degree is a bullshit degree. Same thing with I mentioned it, sociology. Same thing with history, English, and political science. Political science kids are some of the worst fucking kids I ever been around in my goddamn life. But a lot of kids that I know who got political science, who majored in political science when I was a kid, they're not doing anything prestigious now with that fucking degree. Now, it's a good degree to get a law degree with, but it's not a good degree just to have a bachelor's in. It's just not. What say you, Mike?
Exactly. And think about this. What the fuck would anyone want with someone with a philosophy major, who majored in philosophy? What are you gonna you're gonna philosophize to people? Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? You're not gonna do shit. Like, that is a degree that is meant for someone that is gonna teach philosophy. Unless you're gonna teach philosophy, you have absolutely no business taking a philosophy class, or even considering focusing your study in that area, because you will not make a dime off of anything you learn there. You might be able to have a good conversation at a bar, where you pick up a bitch, like, talking some dumb philosophy shit, but that's about it.
Yeah, and pretty much, I don't know if you listened to me the first like 20 or 30 minutes when I was really going off, but that's what I was basically saying. These degrees, a lot of these degrees are really for intellectual masturbators. And I used to be a profound intellectual masturbator in college. I mean, sitting around talking about, all these concepts and ideas that really meant nothing. And that's how a lot of these degrees really are, especially philosophy, especially psychology and all this shit. Oh yeah, Piaget said this, and oh my god, dude. Psychology majors used to always quote Piaget. I like to the point where I want to blow my head off. Like, oh, Piaget, and Piaget said this. I'm like, what? Go ahead.
That's developmental psychology, right? Piaget, he was a child psychologist here. He specialized in child development. He had a lot of theories. There's a lot of he's kind of like Freud in a way that he has a lot of theories that still are talked about today. Like, I took developmental psychology, and I read a lot of shit that he wrote, like a lot of theories that he had. But again, it was all bullshit, because why the fuck do I need to know that? Like, what I'm not doing, I'm not going to be a child psychologist. Like, that's the bottom line. So I don't need to be. Shit. Like, I can't tell you how many hours and hours I wasted studying neuropsychology. Like, that was the hardest course I've ever taken in my life. Neuropsychology. It's like a combination of fucking physics, chemistry. Like, you had to basically figure out. You had to explain on a paper or on a test how antidepressants and certain psychological, antipsychotics, how they work on the brain step by step, what this does to this, and what the neurons do, and it's like, okay, but when am I going to need to use this again? Like, other than just for my own personal knowledge of how these medications work, no one else gives a shit.
Right. I look at a lot of these college degrees almost like a lobotomy. Like, it's something that's just not necessary anymore, especially in this day and age. Like, and that's exactly what it is. And like I said, man, I really hope that a kid, maybe like 15, 16, or 17, will come across this video and really listen to it, and really dissect what I'm saying. Learn from my mistakes. And I'm telling you, I majored in a lot of liberal arts. And like I said, it's horse shit. The type of jobs you get after are horse shit. Your career opportunities are horse shit. And you're not going to work for any of the big companies because they are not hiring these people with these degrees. They are hiring people with like STEM degrees, period. That's it. STEM or something in the IT field. That's it. You have to get those types of degrees. Sociology, psychology, all those degrees are just horse shit. And especially African studies. That's the biggest fucking horseshit degree other than general studies out there. Mike, did you know any general studies degrees, any general study majors when you were in college?
General studies? I don't even.
General,
I don't
g-
think we had
g-
that. Is that just like is that like a non-major? It's like a non-specific major.
it's like a non-specific major, correct?
Okay, so that right there is that would probably be the number one biggest waste because you don't even have the major. Like what are you gonna do saying you have a major in general studies? What the fuck does that even mean? Like that's
It doesn't.
crazy. I didn't even know they had that.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean anything, and that's the whole thing. Let me see. The Earth says academia and research is the only route for those degrees. I agree, but even that might not be a thing in 10 or 20 years either. Um, because with low rates of college enrollment, I highly doubt kids are going to start going to college for philosophy 20 years from now. That doesn't even make any sense. The ER91 also says blockchain technology is the future, and it's still early enough to get ahead of it before it booms. Yep.
And you
Yeah.
know what, man?
Go ahead.
I'd also throw in the mix there with worthless things. I would even put in some circumstances lawyers, unless you have a specific area
Specific.
of
Yep.
law that you already know
I
you want to
wanted to do
study
that. Yeah.
and you have a passion for it. And like you need to have a passion for it. Don't just say, "Oh, I want to be a lawyer" because you hear they make money and you don't know what type of law you want to practice or you saw on Law and Order. Just remember, prosecutors make shit money. They make absolutely
Shit
nothing. They
money.
make the lowest of any
I
lawyer.
was dating a
So you're not
prosecutor.
gonna, yeah.
I dated a prosecutor. She didn't make that much money.
And they work harder than any other lawyer basically, and they make nothing. Like they're basically the DA's bitch, and they have to do it
Yeah.
to prosecute these cases. Like that woman who prosecuted O.J. Simpson. Remember her? I mean, you could tell that she was worked to
To
nearly to
death.
death, and she became
Yeah.
a laughing stock if she lost the case.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't waste your time going to law school because honestly, if you graduate from a middle ground law school, second tier average law school with average grades, and you just are looking for no one's gonna fucking hire you. There's a lot of firms that will only hire people from Ivy League schools. If you didn't go to Harvard Law or Yale Law or Stanford Law, there's law firms that won't even interview you.
Yeah. I mean, that's 100% correct, man. A lot of people that I know, they graduated with like a general law degree, or they graduated with I think they graduated with a law that specializes in criminal law. And like you say, they only became prosecutors or defense attorneys, and they only make about $45,000 a year. And I dated a woman who was a prosecutor, and she didn't make that much money at all, and she was worked to death, and it was almost absurd. It's like, what the fuck did you go to law school for? And it's not like you can go back.
Well, the whole idea.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The whole idea about being a prosecutor is you want to be a prosecutor so you can eventually move into your own practice as a defense attorney, and that's because
Exactly.
that's how you get your experience. So unless you want to do that, and remember you're talking about a 15 or 20-year plan. So you go to college, go to law school, and then you start interning in the DA's office and eventually become a prosecutor. Do that for about 10 years. 15 years, you don't make really a lot of money, but then you can go into your own practice and you're making money by the time you're 50 years old. So it's a
Exactly.
long time.
Yeah, I mean, again, man, it's not even worth it. At the end of the day, it's not. And I think, like, streams like this and just looking at life itself, you can really see where everything is going. And again, any 18, 19-year-old, or even if you're like midway through your studies in school, you might want to switch it over to something STEM related. Or even if you're in law school, like that criminal law shit is horse shit, you know. And it's not a big paying field like you and I just said. It's bullshit at the end of the day. And you're absolutely
Just
correct.
ask yourself, what are you going to do when you graduate and it's time for you to get a job? What do you think is going to happen? Just like picture, don't focus on how much fun you're having in college, because that shit's over. When it's over, and you leave.
Yeah.
You're never going to look, but you'll never again. Like all the shit that happened on campus, all the memories you had on campus, and this or that. It's not going to matter in the real world anymore.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
You know, I mean, you got to think about, wait, there's going to be a life after this, after fucking undergrad. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? If you have any common sense, don't waste your time getting a degree that's not going to pay you back. You know, it's not going to pay for it.
Yeah, definitely. Again, man, I will have to say that a lot of these degrees are just about as useful as a roll of toilet tissue. You know,
That's true. It's true.
it's
It
true.
really is.
It's true. And again, if anybody's coming in here, you know, my list of 15 is general studies, African studies, sociology, psychology, history, criminal justice, communications, English, political science, philosophy, art history, music, theater. I would say theater, drama, law, but depending on what type of law you do. And you know, the list goes
That's
on.
a good list.
Yeah, it is. Oh yeah. And what about economics? I think economics is another one where is useless too. Like to solely major in, yeah.
I knew a guy who majored in econ, and he actually ended up doing well for himself. But I don't know if it was because of the econ major. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people majored in that shit, and I'm pretty sure not all of them became, you know, very well off. So, I mean, I think it's a broad fucking category, being an econ major. Like, what are you gonna do with an econ major?
I don't know. I mean, it's very broad, and that's another thing too. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know what you can do with that kind of a major, man. But you know, again, that's where I feel like the high schools fail, the parents fail, and certainly the administrators fail when these kids get into college. You know, a lot of these high schools, they're happy at the fact that the kids are even going to college. You know, a lot of public schools are just happy with the fact that the kids go to college because it makes the high school look good. Like, oh yeah, you know, we had 75% of the kids go to college. The kids go to college, and then a lot of the kids aren't even prepared for college because the high school didn't really prepare them for some of the workload. So they major in horse shit because the horse shit is easy. But the professors, the administrators are not telling them the real truth because they don't want to lose their jobs. And that's what it really is. It's all about money at the end of the day. You know, why would I, as an African studies professor, why would I tell this kid not to major or even take a class over here? Because if he doesn't take a class, I don't get paid. You know? So that's where like the whole that's where it's a cycle. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Ricardo says high school just teaches you how to follow directions. Yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true.
Man, in my high school, man, they pushed me towards college. They made it sound like if you go to college, if you go to a good college, you're set for life. I swear to God, that's the way they put it. When I
That's
got
how it
into
was
the
in my high
school I
school.
got into, I thought I was good. I had no fucking idea that I was basically about to just spend 4 years fucking around and hang out, like, and that was it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what college is.
I mean,
Yes.
and it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to say. I mean, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. I had some great times in college. I mean, a lot of that made me who I learned a lot of shit about life in college, and I mean, I wouldn't want to. I mean, it's so. I mean, in a way, I'm glad I went, but I'm not glad for the right reasons. Not because of the reason you're there to get the education. It was because of the other shit, the fun that I had.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. But like I said, those are all the wrong reasons to go to school.
Exactly.
I mean, those are all the wrong reasons because, like you said before, they don't mean anything after you graduate. You know, and that's the tragedy of
Exactly
it
right.
all. It means absolutely nothing after you graduate. And a lot of kids don't know that. And a lot of kids, I mean, I would assume that college is not presented to kids the way that it was for us, but if you still do go to college, a traditional 4-year college, there's absolutely no point in going if you're going to major in a liberal art. It's no point. It's some sort of social science, liberal art. There's no point. You're going to have to major in a STEM. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to have to major in a STEM or some sort of specialized business major, period, point blank. If you go to college, I would suggest if you go for business and you want an MBA, try to get into a very good college for an MBA. Do not go to some, Alaska State University for an MBA. Please don't go because you're going to stay in Alaska. Don't do it. Let's see. The ER91 says it keeps competition at an attainable level. Would you agree with that, Mike?
Keeps competition at an attainable level.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what he means by that exactly.
Mm-hmm. Behind the bar says, "What's your idea of good money?" Go ahead.
I was just saying. Did you understand what his question was? I didn't really get it.
I'm assuming he's talking about. I'm assuming he's talking about why would they want to lead all children into the STEMs? Because then you have competition for jobs in the STEMs if everybody's in the STEMs. I think that's what he means. Yeah, I think that's what he means.
That's what he means. I understand that. If that's what he's saying, then yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think that's what he means. Yep.
What do you say? What's your idea of good money? I mean, it depends on, I don't know, what would you say? I mean, like, more than what they can give you out of any of those fucking degrees. I mean, I hate to say. I mean, like, I don't know anyone that could go to school for psychology, unless you're gonna be a psychiatrist, you're not gonna make enough money as a fucking therapist or a social worker. You're just not gonna make enough, like, to support a family. You just won't. Not in today's day and time.
Yeah, and that's why I say, as a man, as a man, especially if you have a family, you shouldn't major in shit like that. You just shouldn't. Like, if you're single and no kids, yeah, but nah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. About to drop the link one more time. Rich, you can cam up if you want to. I dropped the link.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from some people who didn't go to college. Like, I'd like to get someone who ended up doing well for themselves and didn't go to college, because those are the people that need to be speaking out more so kids can hear that you don't have to fucking go to college to make it.
Right, and then a lot of them aren't in debt.
Unless you go for a specialized reason and you already had an idea of what you wanted to do before you even entered college.
Right. Let's see. Yeah, guys. So until somebody camps up, I'll just still keep it rocking. Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is that, Mike, the whole idea for this stream is, hopefully some kid will come across this stream and really listen to it. Like a kid who's 16, 17, and understand that the world is changing and is going to continue to change. And you're gonna have to be, and I said it before, I'm gonna say it again, you're gonna have to be scientifically literate. You're gonna have to be technologically literate. Because if you're not, you're gonna get left behind. And knowing philosophy, knowing English, knowing criminal justice and all these bullshit majors, that's not gonna cut it in the future that we're heading to. Like knowing cloud technology is what you're gonna need to know. You know, knowing
Yeah.
IT, period, is what you're gonna need to know. Go ahead.
Yeah, knowing about gender and justice isn't gonna matter for shit.
No, not at all.
That's a course I took. That's a course I took in grad school. Or no, yeah, in grad school I took it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so it's just the honest to God's truth, man. And again, man, I keep on saying it. If you gotta be aware of people who are gonna trick you, even when you get to school. And again, some of the biggest tricks are, you get to school and they have like these icebreakers at these specific departments, and they lure you in. They lure you in to really trick you. And especially with this African studies nonsense, they lure you in. It all sounds good on the surface, they're beating on drums, they got their dashikis on, they're calling your brother and all this nonsense. And it's attractive. But then when you start taking the courses and then you graduate and then you can't get a job because it's not an in demand or in a demand subject. Google doesn't give a fuck if you have a degree in African studies. They want to know if you know how to troubleshoot a device of theirs or something.
So when you went to get when you signed up for African studies, are you saying that they took you to like an open house of sorts, and you were kind of tricked
No,
into
no,
this
that's
is the
not.
way to go?
No, that's not necessarily how it happened. What happens is that a lot of departments have events on campus. So an event could be anything from a barbecue to a speaker coming. A speaker could be somebody famous, and that is the trick in itself. They're luring you in. Of course, when at the time when you're a kid, you don't understand it. But now that I'm older, it's like, oh, the barbecue was the beginning scam. The barbecue was to lure you there. The
Yeah,
barbecue was to lure you there. It was to lure you to around all these people. It's like a cult almost. I mean, almost every department has it. Sociology's had their barbecues, they've had their events, their speaking engagements, their meet and greets. That's all what that shit is. So they get you by luring you in. That's all what it is.
well, that's kind of what I meant by like an open house type of event. I mean, it's kind of like an open house where they bullshit you into wanting to buy it and
Right.
making it look attractive, and that's what they did with you, where you're talking about these barbecues.
Exactly. And that's what it was. It was just a barbecue. And while you're there, they say nice things to you. They, you're talking about things that, I think about when somebody's luring you in. They're saying everything you want to hear. And especially when you're a kid, you're just more susceptible to that type of brainwashing. And then to a point where you want to take a course there, you want to take a class, and then you may like the professor, and then a class turns into you saying, maybe I should double major, maybe I should actually major in this, and that's how it happens a lot. Yeah, that's how it happens with a lot of these college courses.
Maybe I should donate some money to this program as well.
Yeah, and that's what happens too. Yeah, but again, I think that what's going to happen in the future, and I mean the future meaning like just a few years, more people are going to become aware, and I'm talking about at a young age. A lot of these kids are even aware to the point where they're not even enrolling in college anymore because they don't want to, they hear these horror stories about debt, and a lot of these kids don't even want debt. These 17, 18-year-old kids don't even want debt for real. And so a lot of these kids aren't even enrolling in college. Like college enrollment was down even before COVID even happened. I don't know if you knew that.
I mean, I can imagine that I can't see it going any other way with the way things are going in this country. I can't see college being the same as it was 20 years ago.
No, it's not even like the culture is not even there anymore for it to be like that. Like like the culture of college is
I
not
mean,
even there.
I went to college. When I went to college, it was at the height of the college craze. Like, it was 2000. I started in 2000. Yeah, the year 2000, 2001 was my first year, and that was like so. That was right when that was the year Bush, George W. got voted into office, and that back then it was all about college. Like
Yeah,
that's no one talked about anything else. It was all about SAT tutors and getting your SAT scores up and SAT twos and all that shit. Your APs just so you could get into a good fucking college. That's all they talked about in high school.
yeah. That's it. That's all they talked about was college, 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 college. Because when I was in high school,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that you were labeled a loser if you didn't go to college. I mean, I swear to
I
God, you
remember.
were.
I remember. Yeah, and I remember a lot of kids who didn't go to college when I was in school. They were looking up to me like, man, you know, you're just so cool, man. You're in college, and looking back at it now, a lot of the kids who didn't go to college from high school, they're not in debt, and they are working at jobs. They are literally working at jobs that the people who graduated college, they couldn't find any jobs in their field, and they're like a lot of public transportation jobs. I see a lot of people who went to college with me working at public transportation, and I'm like, damn, they could have got that job right out of high school, but now they're working with the same friends that that didn't go to college with us that had been working there for 18 years already, but now they can't find any other thing, so they get these jobs in public transportation, shit like that. I'm talking about like driving buses, stuff like that.
Yeah, I had one of my best friends actually from high school. He didn't go to college. I remember specifically him telling me back then. He was like, "Damn, like I really like admire the fact that you're going to a good college and all this stuff." So what ended up happening with him was he went he decided he became a nurse practitioner, and he's making good money now. Like he's making
Yeah.
almost 6 figures a year. Like, I mean, and he didn't go to college. He went to school for nursing, but that was it. And
Yeah, because it's in demand. Yeah, it's in demand. And being a nurse practitioner, a lot of people are nurses now, but being a nurse practitioner says a lot about you. And so,
and being a PA also, man, that's a huge thing. I would recommend to people who are interested in medicine but don't necessarily want to be doctors. You can make
a physician's
easily
assistant,
6 figures.
yep.
Yeah, PA, yeah, a physician's assistant. That's a great career these days.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of high schools need to eliminate certain classes itself. Like when I was in high school, we had drama. And basically in drama, we sat there and we learned about theater, shit like that. And I'm like, why are we in this fucking class? I mean, even when I was in high school, I mean, a teacher was real cool. She's now a counselor. But I was in class like, why do we have this fucking course here? This course is nonsense. None of us are going to be actors and actresses.
It's all part of the scam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
none of us are
actors, how many Hollywood actors went to fucking school for theater?
Damn near zero. I mean, I think it's like less than 1%. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Will Smith didn't go to college for theater.
They were all picked from the fucking. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Exactly.
Right. So the thing is that a lot of people don't know this, and it is what it is. But like I said, Will Smith.
Yeah, we had a huge theater department.
Yeah. Yeah, we had art. Like, I mean, art is a useless thing to learn in school. Like, in terms of like high school, like there should be no more. I don't think there was art in high school. I think art was like junior high. But there are a lot of classes in high school that are useless. And so when you go into college, you think it's normal to, you know, oh yeah, you got to take one of these classes for your, what do they call it, a superlative or an elective?
It's a
Elective.
an elective, exactly.
An elective.
You're right. That's
Oh
what it
yeah,
is.
you got to take this course for an elective. And I'm like, why do we need to take underwater basket weaving? What's the purpose of this? What is the purpose of dinosaur research? This shit doesn't make any sense. And again, these administrators and counselors or academic advisors, they're pretending, the professors pretending, everybody's just pretending at the high level in college because remember, it's all a money scam. But when you're 18, 19, and 20, you don't know that you are in that you are the scam. Like they're scamming you. You know, you're there thinking like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just majoring in psychology, bro, and I'm gonna do this. And you think all those professors are your friends, the counselors are your friends. And in actuality, they're not, because if they really were, they will pull you to the side and say, you know what you need to do? You need to do what the fucking Chinese kids are doing. You need to go to hey Mike, let me ask you a question. When you were in college, how many Chinese kids were in some of those elective courses with you?
No, I don't remember ever seeing one.
I don't remember ever seeing one either. Now, an elective course means that you have to have a broad array of different classes. But I didn't even really, I don't even remember. And we had a lot of Chinese kids who went to my school. I don't remember even seeing Chinese kids in any one of my electives. So that lets me know right there
we had a massive, like we had one of the most diverse. Like, we had people coming from, because we were such a big poli-sci school. You had a lot of people from all different countries, but you also had a lot of Asian kids that were there for engineering. You know what I mean? Like computer science, like specialized shit.
Right, and you didn't see them in any of the elective courses, right?
Never, not one
I never
time,
saw them either. And right there lets me know that there were it's either it was a big fucking coincidence or there was some sort of a loophole, because those Chinese kids would never have went to no goddamn 16th century dance class as an elective, because that's a waste of time for them. That's a major waste of time. So
Southeast Asian art. I took a class called Southeast Asian art. It was an art history class. You think I saw a fucking Chinese person in there?
You never saw one Chinese person in there. Same thing with African studies. There were no African kids in those classes. And I'm talking about the electives too. There were no African kids in those classes. That was it's absurd.
Somehow or something.
Say what?
It seems like
Mike, your phone is going dead. I mean, not dead, but I can't hear you.
There was one more where I came on.
I can't hear you, Mike. You got bad reception. Mike, just come back. You got a little bad reception. But yeah, so ask yourself this question. Ask yourself this. For people who did go to school, just really sit back and think. When you took your elective courses, where were all these foreign kids at? And that always struck me as odd too. Like, since we all go to college, why don't we see a lot of these kids in the elective courses that you think that everybody would take? They just didn't. And so either they had good ass counselors that got them out of some of those electives, or they were just loopholes for foreign kids. I don't know. Let me drop the link one more time. Oh no, it's already there. So yeah. That's it. a second. Let me see something real quick. So yeah, if you're young, don't go to college. If you're not going to major in something that's going to lead you to the medical field, or you know, if you're not going to major like in a high level STEM, it's no point. Don't go to college right now in the 21st century and major in anything in terms of liberal arts. It's absurd. Why would you want to do it? Don't do it. Don't waste your time. Don't allow those professors, those administrators to lie to you, because that's what they're doing. They're all lying to you. They're all in on the scam. They're all in on the scam. They're not going to say anything, but they want that money coming in to these bumfuck liberal art degrees or majors. I mean, so don't let them do that to you. Don't let them lie to you. Don't let them lie to you, because they're lying, because it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Let's see. Anybody else in the chat? All right, guys. I think I'm gonna camp down. Mike, your phone was breaking up, so I might camp back up a little later on tonight. Anybody else? I'm gonna leave a link up here. I'm gonna give it some time for somebody else to cam up. If not, I'm about to cam down. I'm gonna cam down if anybody does not want to cam up. Let's see. Ricardo says, "Great show, thanks, man." I think I'm gonna cam down. Mike's phone was messing up too, but I might cam back up later. Yeah, I might cam back up later. Anybody else? Anybody else? So I might camp back up a little later. Let's see. Still at 98. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I'm about to be up out of here. Mike, if you can hear me, I'm camp back probably a little bit later. So I'll talk to you. Have a good one.